Good morning, guys. Happy Saturday. It's June 3rd and I'm on my way to a garden tour. So I'm doing the Moorestown Garden Club tour. It's kind of like the one I do for Hardy Plant Society, but it's really nice and cool today. Yesterday was a scorcher and my air conditioning stopped working, so I'm not happy. But I'm at the first house, so let me see what this is all about. Okay guys, so this is they've got these, I don't know if these are arborvitaes, those look cypress, but all of the irises, which are of course bloom is done. But it was really nice, very private. So I got a lot of good ideas going there. That's what I like about these garden tours, is the ideas that you get. And so now I'm on to the second house. So I'm gonna do a complete review like when I get home. So yeah, but that was nice. Okay guys, so I'm at the second location and I come to Moorestown, especially more like the historic downtown area, a lot. And my uncle lives in Moorestown, but y'all, this is like the rich section of Moorestown. Like, you know, like gates and everything. I'm just like, I didn't even know this section was back here, which is kind of funny because I've lived in this area since I was 6. So anyway, this house is on a main street. But they told us to come in the back entrance for safety because that main street is way too busy. So let's head on in. Still be so pretty. Check out this driveway, y'all. Now look at these boxwood poles. I love this. So guys, this is the front. Look at, I like the terracing. I mean, it's not a big terrace, but it's not terracing nonetheless. So, and guys, that's a slate roof. A slate. Yeah, I know. Okay guys, I'm at the third house. So at the last house, this one couple told me wait till you get to cobblestone, so that's where I am. I had parallel park on the right hand side, which I have to admit, it's been a minute since I've done that. I'm in my space and I didn't hit anything. But yeah, parallel parking on the, excuse me, I usually parallel park on the right side, but on occasion you have to do it on the left side, and I haven't done it in a while, so I'm proud of myself, but let's go see. Okay guys, so this is the driveway. I don't even see the house from here. The woman's like, oh, it's a long walk. I mean, seriously? Okay, I'll let you guys know. Look at that color line. I need to track down. I really like that lavender one. It's so pretty. And look at this dry river bed. Oh, wait a minute. It doesn't drain into anything. Guys, I think I'm going out in the exit, so let me go around the other way. Oh my goodness, guys. Wow. Beautiful. Oh, Baptisia is a shrub. Oh, yes, look at this clematis. Oh, it's so beautiful. Wow. Oh my goodness. Love that. Oh, look at all this nepeta, peonies, roses. Kind of like this. Wow. Oh, look at this bench around the tree. Oh my gosh. That is so beautiful. Nice little private spot. This could be the front entrance, but it's actually a side entrance. Oh, what type of holly tree is that? It's beautiful. Okay, guys, so now I'm leaving. Well. That was something else. It really was. Okay, guys, so I'm halfway through the list. I'm actually going to go to number 5. That was number 3. I did this backwards. So I did 1, 2, and 3. And so I'm gonna hit 5 because that's closer, and then I'll hit 4 and 6 because they're on Main Street. So that, wow. You know, it's really interesting going to various towns like this to see places like this, because, you know, in Medford, I know that there are some sections that are very, very affluent, but you can't really see them because they have in Medford, because it's more farm and everything, you know, the mansions are back so far off the road you can't see them, where these are developments with like mansions in them, which is really it's really interesting. So I would never have thought that I would see basically like a mansion in a development. But you know, actually, now that I think about it, though, in Southampton, I think it's on Moorestown Road. There are on that road, because it's a lot of land, and the properties have a lot of, you know, have a lot of acreage. There are mansions, so I guess probably in time, once they finish doing the planting, it'll kind of resemble this, but even not that much, because things are a lot more spaced out. But yes, so I'm in a development of mansions. So. But that driveway was long. I mean, because I was walking down that driveway, I'm like, y'all sure there's a house back here? I mean, that driveway was so long that, you know, taking out your trash, I mean, I would probably have to drive it down. But it was a colonial revival house. They had like an English basement. Meaning that with the English basement, you can actually walk in and out of the basement, and like the first floor is actually up a story. It was terraced, you know, and it wasn't the type of thing where they built it up. I think that's just the natural topography of the land. So really, and the pool area was amazing. Now, the one thing I would say about these gardens that I'm noticing that's different from the ones that I visit in Pennsylvania is that, and maybe it's just because it's Moorestown, whereas in the ones with Pennsylvania, it's just, you get people, that group has a lot more, people, it seems, from different walks of life. But one thing is that in New Jersey, they definitely, at least this one, they seem to take more of the landscaping view of gardening, as opposed to in Pennsylvania, people are, I think, seem to be more on the more of the horticultural side, where basically they don't want to see no grass. So like for example, even the property that's next door to here, there's like this large swath of like empty space. I mean, they've got it mulched and everything, but like, I know if I was in, with people in my Hardy Plant Society, they would have already planted that out with flowers. So it was definitely more landscaped, because there was a lot of repetition with the flowers. And I mean, it looks very nice. And especially like if you're doing a magazine, that would look really good, but it wasn't like the typical, like what I would expect from like hardcore gardeners. I don't think these people actually plant this. I think they have a gardener. So anyway, on to the next house. Okay guys, so I'm at the next house, and this is more of the section of Moorestown that I'm more familiar with. So this is like the normal people section, not the lifestyles of the rich and famous. So let's go in and see what they got going on. Huh. I wonder what this was back here. They let it go wild. It seems intentionally. Okay, so that was a normal garden. She actually had labels on the plants. Oh, that was so great. Because that's another thing. Like a lot of other houses, nothing was labeled. So I mean, certain things I generally speaking like recognized it. But there's this one plant I took a picture of. I don't know what it is. But yeah, this was actually labeled. She's taking courses at like Longwood and everything. So, which is why I'm not surprised that she labeled everything. She also had more unusual plants, like she had like deutzia, she had like a sweet spire, that sort of thing. She had a couple different types of hostas and that sort of thing. So that was more, I could tell she does that mostly herself. It didn't have a professional look, so to speak, if that makes any sense. And of course she had that wild section back there. So now I'm off to the next one. And what time is it? Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go get some gas first. And then I'm gonna go, to one number 4. I'm looking forward to this one, and actually, let me go get some gas and I'll tell you why. Okay guys, so I thought long and hard about this segment. As a matter of fact, that day I re-recorded that entire thing so many times. And part of me doesn't want to put this out there because it could potentially make me seem like a petty Betty, and that's not why I'm doing it. It's just that you're gonna see pictures, clips, and my review may sound as being unduly harsh. And it's just because there's background, and so and I know that I have a bias, and I'm one of those types of people, like, if I have a bias, I let people know that I have a bias so that you can take anything I say with the appropriate amount of salt. So you can believe some of what I say, all of what I say, or none of what I say. It's totally up to you, but at least you know how you have a bias. So anyway, the person, this garden, She has started a social media presence when COVID happened with gardening, which a lot of people did, and basically has been holding herself out as an authority, citing credentials and that sort of thing. And, you know, I started following her, but of course, I started fact checking, and then the more I followed, I was just like, oh, interesting. So I don't follow this person anymore because the information the information is not useful to me. And like I said, they hold themselves out as an authority, and you guys can take that any way you want. So basically, this past earlier this year, I was asked to give a lecture on seed starting at a local garden club because this individual basically flaked out. And and I was willing to do it. I actually had to take time off, put in to take time off from work and that sort of thing. And then I was summarily kicked to the curb because um, the because they decided to work around this other person because in I guess this committee's opinion, this individual is a better seed starter than I am. I'm not really sure how I'm not sure how they arrived at the conclusion because from what I know, I actually do a lot more seed starting than this individual does. So I was like, okay, you just kicked. I start probably 3,000 plants from seed every year, and I got kicked to the curb for someone who starts maybe 20 plants per year. So anyway, so I was not happy about that. So from some other, I had other people in other groups ask me why I didn't do things in my garden the way this person did, and this person says this person says that, and some of the stuff that they were saying to me was not accurate. And so it was just one of those kind of things. So I was very curious, having heard so much chatter locally and that sort of thing, to see what this person's garden looked like. And, if you're going to hold yourself out as an authority, I'm expecting great things from you. So I'll leave it at that. So now let's go back to the video. Okay, so I tried to do a review of that garden, and I looked at my thing. I had filmed it like 8 times. And, it's been a while since then, so I can put things in perspective. I didn't have any video because my mom actually called me, and with my phone I can take video or I can talk on the phone. I cannot do both. So I decided to talk to my mom and just take pictures. And so when I do the live on Sunday, and I'll put a link to that in the description, I'll kind of break down, I'll give you guys a longer look at the pictures because I'll be talking about things. So my review, well, let's start with the community garden because that one's pretty easy. When I got there, everything was kind of over, so I only got to go in and take a quick picture. It's a community garden. I mean, it's not as, I think the one at the Burlington County Agricultural Center, those plots have a lot more personality, but in terms of how it was arranged, they had gates, it had water. It seemed to be a very serviceable community garden. So if you're in Moorestown and you live like in an apartment or a small piece of land, that's an option if you want somewhere to garden. But with respect to that one garden, the pictures were cute. It was just, and I hate using this word, but it was basic. And so when you're putting out there that I've been gardening for 30 years in this spot, um, I was expecting, because once again, I've been to a number of gardens where the people have been gardening there for, even 10 years, 20 years, and seeing how they've transformed their property. That was my basis of comparison. The section with the vegetable garden and even with that shed, like all of that stuff was very new. There was a lot of new plantings. There wasn't anything I saw in there that had like the maturity of a 30-year garden, which was in the bio, which is I've got 30 years of experience gardening. So that's what I was expecting to see a very well established, well loved garden, and that's not what I was seeing. I was seeing, like I said, new plantings, and and you can see in one of the pictures that the one area was still under construction. Which, hey, listen, I've got areas under construction because I've got the rose garden under construction. But like I said, it's just my expectations were one thing, and that's not what I found. I mean, the garden, the vegetable garden, um, that's a popular style of garden to have the raised bed. That was referred to as a parterre garden. That is not a parterre garden. Y'all know. Yeah, I've gone over this before. Parterre garden. That's not what a parterre garden is. But, the vegetable garden with a fountain or something in the middle. So it was a traditional design. There was a potting shed. Pet peeve, it was a little too clean. If I had a potting shed, my potting shed wouldn't have been too clean. But listen, I know that they were expecting tours, so it was kind of arranged. It was very Instagram worthy. Let's put it that way. So at the conclusion of those tours, we actually had to rate all of the gardens from like 1 to, they didn't include the community garden, so I guess it was 1 to 5. So the thing that was number 1 was the the cobblestone one, the one with a really really long driveway. So yeah, my takeaway from, I mean, it was a fun garden tour. I mean, listen, going to a garden tour is fun. It was open. That's one of those things. It was just open to the public. From what I could tell, a lot of people were there. Not really to get like flower inspiration, it seemed, or maybe it's just because of how it was done, because had a very landscape look. People seemed to be really focusing on the hardscaping aspect of it, like the type of stones that were being used, the slate. Like for example, the around that one pool area, that pool deck that had those slate slabs. I heard so many people saying that they wanted to do that, and I overheard some people talking, saying, "Oh yeah, I came here because I'm going to have work done in my garden. I was looking for inspiration." So it was, people were really seemed to be there for the hardscaping. I really didn't see too many people oohing and ahhing over the plants or trying to figure out what type of flowers were actually planted. So that part was a little bit different for me. So yeah, so that was my view. It was very interesting. Like I said, that with the first 2 houses, well, actually, it was more than the first 2 houses. Um, the first house definitely, and I think the ones where I said these were like normal people houses and normal people landscaping, those people definitely seem to be like the traditional type of gardener. They, I could tell that was done slowly over time. They were finding plants that they really liked, they loved to add to their garden. And then with the bigger houses, that was definitely more of, landscaping. So interestingly enough, I did talk to the person at the local garden center because they were asking me if I had gone, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I did." And so the bigger properties, they asked me what I thought, and I was like, yeah, there shouldn't be a lot of new plantings. And he's like, oh yeah, well, we supplied a lot of the plants. Apparently there were two landscapers that came in to get plants to put in a fair number of the gardens. And I could kind of tell because the plants that I saw were new planting. I had seen those in this particular garden center. I mean, that's how often I go. I was like, yeah, that kind of looks like they got that from there. Um, and so he's like, yeah, and the one landscaper came back 3 times, and I was like, huh. I said, okay, well, so my feeling going through there was that I was seeing a lot of planting. Wasn't seeing a lot of maturity, and I think, and from what it sounded like, that some of the owners had actually, there may have been maturity there, but some of the stuff was ripped out for new plantings because they were trying to plant it up, just, for the garden tour. So I'm kind of curious. I wasn't really sure. Altogether who had ripped stuff out and started again. Those two bigger houses, I have a feeling that, I don't know, certain, I don't know. I think they just had a lot of empty spaces. Certain things looked like they were under construction. So, yeah, it was really interesting. So I would have liked to have seen those houses like a year before this to see how they looked. But yeah, a lot of new planting. So, anyway, that's that particular town. Would I go again? Yeah, I would go again. I don't know how many people are in that gardening club. And, usually with gardening clubs, when they have tours, they kind of rotate to so they're not the same people over and over again. So, there may be other people who are in that gardening club who are more of the traditional gardener where they got plants everywhere, and that sort of thing. So yeah, I would definitely go again. It was a lot. It really was. It was a lot of fun. And thankfully the weather was cool because, touring gardens when it's like almost 100 degrees is not fun. So anyway, like I said, on Sunday I will be doing a live. I'll be taking the still photographs that I did. I'll be talking about them because there are certain things that I saw that I definitely were like, oh, you know what, I would like to get that. I like how this was done. I think I can kind of make this overall look, work in my garden. So that's what I'm going to be doing on Sunday. So meanwhile, guys, I will see you on Saturday for my typical video. I can't remember what I'm doing next. I'm back in my own garden. And like I said, we've got a bunch more garden tours to go. So stay tuned, and hopefully you guys can get some inspiration for the coming season. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.